Greetings and salutations. This is Abdelhadi with The Bitter Truth, where we may not have all the answers, but we're going to ask an awful lot of questions. You can also become a bitter pill or supporter of the show by going to thebittertruth.info, I-N-F-O, and also visit us on YouTube and subscribe and like there for free. But as always, you can listen to the show on Spotify, iTunes, and all the other stuff. We appreciate the support. But if you want to get some fabulous merch to make your life better, you can go to thebittertruth.info if you don't want to commit to a subscription because it's not you, it's me. You can buy a t-shirt or a book or whatever you want to do. So there you go. Anyway, my guest today, friend of the show, she's been on before, Sema Hernandez. You might remember her in 2018, ran against Beto O'Rourke, and it was pretty much between her and Beto, and she came out with about 300,000 votes compared to Beto's 650,000 votes. Her average cost per vote was, I think, $3 a vote, whereas Beto O'Rourke's average cost per vote was like $1 billion because he's a DNC bot tool. So flash forward to 2020, and she runs again for Senate to take on John Cornyn. And it is the opinion of this humble broadcaster that I think, Sema, let's just jump into it. I think they pulled a Bernie on you. I think they ran like 11 fucking people to confuse the electorate. And then what did they do? They settle in on a DNC handpicked, CIA-tested mother-proof tool in the form of an MJ Hagar who couldn't construct a sentence on a bet because I've seen her interviewed. And I know you won't say it because you're all cordial and nice and everything. But she was an absolute dipshit. She did. I've heard her interviewed and nothing to say, and nobody pushed back on the fact that she sued to be in the Air Force, to fly planes, to go bomb black and brown people to take their shit for free. So that being said, how do you think that campaign was orchestrated? Because you ran as a Democrat, right?
I did. I ran as a Democrat. And in 2018, we compared to Beto's votes, just, to correct the record.
Yeah, sure.
I spent less than 1 cent per vote.
Oh, 1 cent per vote. Okay. So it wasn't even a latte. It was like a chiclet. Okay, good.
Maybe a chiclet.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I think that theory is absolutely correct. There are more the DNC saw our campaign as a threat, our messaging as a threat. Mm-hmm. And if you saw the results of the 2018 election and you saw the political pundits talking about my candidacy, my election, that was a fluke, that people voted for me because of my last name, they played the identity politics card.
Sure.
To, divide and conquer the progressive movement, the progressive message, co-opted, putting someone that is more, personable or just more Anglo-sized candidate. Not sure if you remember the other candidate who ran against me, the Latina from Ohio, who changed her last name, who said she was more Mexican than a yada, 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 but then she was indigenous. So it's like there was an identity crisis happening. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you see MJ Hagar being elevated and money pouring into her account, mm-hmm. while this distraction is going on between who is the most Latina, right. who is the most progressive.
Right.
And then MJ Hagar comes out winning. It's strategy. And recruiting that many candidates to run just kind of said it all. Like they want to drown out the progressive voice, the progressive message.
Well, because I watched your debate. They had you guys on that time when you were in Austin. And, out of 11 people, I think it was 11 people on that days or whatever you call it. And
I think it was a total of 15 candidates and only 11 people were on the
15 total. Okay. So, but when she ran down the little hit list of what you all stand for, you and another candidate were the only ones that raised your hand for Medicare for all, and no one else did.
Right.
And then when I listened to MJ Hagar get interviewed on The Rabble, they didn't even ask her about that. They didn't ask her about a lot of shit. I listened for about 25 minutes before I just was my blood pressure was gonna go through the roof. So I said, fuck it. She's frustrating to listen to. Those people are frustrating to listen to. And it's like the elephant in the room. I mean, so and some people might say, that was in the past, whatever, but it's not in the past. Look at Biden's craptastic cabinet picks. Right? I mean, except for Jennifer Granholm, who's got her fingers in energy because she was in Michigan for 2 terms as a governor. Not like she's, not dialed in with the auto industry or whatever. Everybody else is just the same right-wing war hawk bullshit that Trump had in his cabinet. So what's the difference?
Oh, the difference right now is, again, identity politics. It's everyone is diverse, but unified in the message of Biden, which is nothing will fundamentally change.
Right. So why are people excited about this? Why am I the bad guy? Why are you the bad guy?
Because he's not Trump. Because he's not Trump.
Right.
That's why people are excited, because he's not Trump.
Right.
And those people who were woke liberals,
right,
didn't want Trump, but they also don't want the system to change. Because if they wanted the system to change, to bring about racial justice, environmental justice, criminal justice reform, healthcare justice, ending the wars, then they would be actually invested in ensuring that we do not continue down this path of austerity and endless wars.
Mm-hmm.
We would throw a fit and organize in a strategic way to ensure that Congress does the job of the people and upholds the progressive policy issues that need to be pushed through, regardless of who's in office, regardless of who's the speaker, regardless of who's the Senate Majority Leader. People would organize and mobilize to do a general strike. But a lot of these woke liberals are not as invested as we are, because they are in a different tax bracket than we are.
Well, and then, candidly speaking, I know some chewy blues. That's what I call them, the crunchy reds and the chewy blues, who aren't quite in that kind of a tax bracket, but they just like they I don't know what they think, that they're going to get a job at MSNBC one day or whatever. I mean, they're not in journalism, they're not, but they act like the system is fine, that the Democratic Party is fine, and and I'm an idiot because the Democratic Party holds more of their values than the Republican Party. I'm kind of going, what values are those? Because except for gays, guns, and abortion, pretty much they're the same party. Except for taking money from the NRA, they're the same party. So how does a Democrat look you in the eye with a straight face and say that these are, that they're not a better person because they voted for Joe Biden? They don't have more ethics than me. You voted for Kamala Harris, by the way, and I'm from California. And that chick was one of the worst attorney generals we've ever had. And I don't give a shit that she's a black woman or a Martian aviator. It's like, when you are a human speed bump in the investigation of the Archdiocese in San Francisco to stop an investigation on pedophilia by priests, when you put 40% of California state firefighters on the payroll for $1 an hour with no death benefit even, and half the people in California, like half the United States, are in jail for non-violent, non-trafficking drug offenses. And she ran to the left of two Republican candidates, both terms, when she ran for attorney general, that ran to the left of her. They wanted to get rid of 3 strikes. They wanted to make pot legal. Now it's legal, but they wanted to make it, recreationally legal. And she just laughed it off and still won election. And, you know her track record. I don't have to go into it all with you, but I mean, how do people look you straight in the eye and say, oh, the crime bill? I had so many people not even know what the fucking crime bill was. Oh, that's in the past.
It's very much in the future. It is very much who Biden is. And the people who he picked to be in his cabinet are there to uphold it, to obscure it, to browbeat us into feeling comfortable that these people who look like us are going to uphold those same policies. That's what identity politics is to make us comfortable with the policy violence. It's to make us comfortable with austerity. It's to make us comfortable to be arrested by someone who looks like us, to imprison us and prosecute us and incarcerate us for forever.
Right.
Those people who don't know what the Crime Act is, it's enforced today. It's still enforced today. So how can you say that's not relevant when it's being applied to indiscriminately today to Black and brown people?
Mm-hmm.
It's still happening. Oh, sure. I still haven't heard that Joe Biden is going to repeal the Crime Act. I haven't heard members of Congress saying that. I haven't seen any effort into doing that. The only thing that I've seen come out of the Trump administration is his, and it's not the best, but it's something that he did that was positive, which was putting in place the Criminal Justice Reform Act that Van Jones put together with other people and pushed the Biden administration. No, I'm sorry, not Biden, but the Trump administration to sign it into law.
Okay,
like that is the most advancement I've seen that doesn't totally undo what Biden did, because I would love to see this administration repeal the Crime Act, but that is a congressional effort that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. It's not being done. But
Sure.
the Crime Act is very much relevant now as it was back in 1994.
Well, see, and this
Except
is
we've seen all the damage it's done.
right, and looking into the face of the damage it's done, the guy that has been 47 years on the wrong side of everything. I mean, Democrats are just like Republicans. Republicans forgive Cheeto Jesus because he's a Republican and he went to church once, right?
Yes.
And whatever he says, well, that was in the past. Okay, well, Democrats do the same exact thing. And you couldn't see Me Too sell out faster than Bernie Sanders at a goddamn toilet paper convention, could you? As soon as Tara Reade came out, they slut-shamed her. No credit. I'm in Austin. I'm in chewy blue fucking Austin. And people in my face, people I hang with, saying, oh, well, she's not credible. I believe that lady with Brett Kavanaugh. I believed her. And Tara Reade's case actually has more witnesses and more evidence, if you will, than Dr. Ford. And I believed Dr. Ford, and so why is it, Dr. Ford was telling the truth, but Tara Reade's a liar? And then suddenly, all the Alyssa Milanos and everybody just gave it up. There's no Me Too. And I actually had someone defend Biden to me, and I'm making this up. Well, because remember when there was about 8 or 9 women that came out. And this person actually said to me, an educated person, said that at least it's in the single digits. Trump's nearing 30. And I'm like, wow, what if that was your sister or your mom? Like, would you be okay with her being number 7? Dude, it just fucking went away. This country is going to be Brazil in 5 years.
I, you mean we're not already a banana republic?
Not quite. Not quite. We're actually, I don't know if we're quite a banana republic. I think we're in the persimmon category or something.
Persimmon. Okay.
I don't even know what persimmon is, but it's just I don't think
an
I've
awful
ever.
Fruit.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever eaten one. But no, we're not quite there yet. But if you look around the depression that we're in, food lines in Texas, like 10,000 cars at a time. We haven't had this kind of dire straits since the depression. Food banks have never run out of food in 80 years. And now
there isn't enough push to provide the kind of relief that FDR pushed through.
No, there's not. And that's the thing. Fucking AOC, Jimmy Dore started this thing for quote unquote House progressives to force the vote. Yeah, force the vote. Withhold their vote to Nancy Pelosi for House Speaker unless she promises to at least bring Medicare for all as a floor vote on the House floor. And AOC's out there giving her bullshit excuses. Well, today I just saw online, I think it was on salon.com, she got passed over for a committee assignment that she was going after. And why? They gave it to the lady who threatened to withhold her vote to Pelosi if she didn't get the committee assignment. Right? It's just politics.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that neat? So this is politics 101. This is what these idiots, these Biden supporters, were not understanding. I just heard there's a leak on The Intercept. Somebody, one of the civil rights activists that he was yelling at last week. Did you hear that shit? He's bitch slapping him. He's bitch slapping him up and down like they owe him money in a card game. And they just sat there and took it. You don't give. You've been in politics. You get it. You don't get a vote unless you promise me something.
Yeah.
And clearly, it's whoever majored in political science in this country failed to go to political science the day they taught it in class that day because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Once he gets in there, we'll push him to the left.
Well, I'm going to tell you that from what I've heard from my own, political strategists that, are the people who keep me grounded and keep me focused, is that they said you have to remember that, and even Biden, the Biden campaign, the Biden administration that's coming in, they know that they only got 36% of the vote that actually believed in him. The rest of the vote was never Trump vote.
Right.
So what power do they really have? Nothing.
Well, there's no mandate. This was the argument I had about,
it was a referendum on Trump. This is what it was. It was a referendum on Trump, not an acceptance of Joe Biden. Well, that's what we have to remember.
Well, and even then it was an acceptance of, let's just say it was an acceptance of Joe Biden. It's an acceptance of Joe Biden doing absolutely goddamn nothing. He's not going to change fracking. He's not going to he's going to increase defense spending. He's going to, try to fund police more with federal monies. He said this to the bankers that nothing would change, right? In this summer, not 10 years ago. So, well, that's in the past. Well, everything he said this year I mean, goddamn. So yeah, you're right. I mean, he's coming in with no mandate, and he's like the Seinfeld thing. Seinfeld was a show about nothing. If you thought Obama's presidency was a show about nothing, watch this be a presidency about nothing. This guy's coming in with zero mandate to do nothing already. So he didn't have a big support. And this is if, by the way, he's not drooling into a rubber diaper in 6 months, because President Harris is going to be president by summer.
And this person who won only 36% of the vote that actually supported him is coming in with nothing but the neoliberal oligarchs occupying his administration, which is unfortunate to see. And somehow we're supposed to just swallow this pill and carry on and pretend as if we can't do anything as a movement. We can't organize. I see these things on Twitter, going back and forth in social media on general strike. And I get it. It's trending on Twitter, but I don't see people out on the streets. I don't see calls for massive organizing. I don't see people saying, hey, meet me here on Inauguration Day outside of the Capitol. We're going to do a sit-in. We're going to occupy the offices. Mm-hmm. Everyone wear a mask, bring hand sanitizers, whatever. I don't hear that call.
Well, I'm sorry.
And I don't hear that call from the progressives that are in office telling us to mobilize and organize. But also, I also know that they are not necessarily the leaders of the movement, because there isn't any leaders in the movement. The leaders are us. It's up to us. The moment that we have a leader in the movement, and it's going to be easy to topple that one leader, which is what we see happening right now with that call to action to hold the vote. Right. It's like people are, and I've had these personal conversations with people on Twitter in a DM. We're setting the squad on fire. I'm like, no, we're not setting the squad on fire. It's not. Said, if there is a strategy to be played, then play that strategy. But then you end up showing your hand, and then you get dragged on Twitter because you showed your hand or whatever you were showing. When you respond to the NFL football player who is forcing you to answer the question about Medicare for all, as a movement leader in Congress, so to speak, I do that in air quotes.
Right.
If there's a strategy to be played and you are trying to focus on getting a position on a committee, then you don't go and cause this chaos or alienate your supporters or people who are supporting you, and then watch this whole thing set on fire with Jimmy Dore and Medicare for all.
Well, no, I disagree with that. No, I disagree with that, because what you do is you do go out there and you set on fucking fire, and you call out Mark Pocan and you call out the rest.
I'm not worried about that. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm saying, as the person who has a strategy, who is in Congress, you don't pick a fight with the movement that supported you.
Oh, right.
That's what I mean. Is like as a candidate, as the elected official, you do not alienate your base by saying that you can't force a vote on Medicare for all.
Right.
Saying, I would like to force them on a vote on Medicare for all, but I also want to force the vote on all of this. Do I have your support?
Right.
Like that strategically would have worked. Instead, alienation happened to the base. The base then drags the candidate, which is right now is being called dragging the candidate. But what the base is actually doing is holding this person accountable.
Right.
But because she answered, she made a bullshit answer, bullshit excuse.
Right.
And now she's being held accountable.
Well, see, but this is the thing.
It's like, we're not setting the squad on fire. We want them to do better.
Right. Well, actually, not if they won't do better. Set them on fire if they won't do better. If they're going to
they set themselves on fire.
Well, listen, no one's smart enough to outrun their own psychology. Mm-hmm. Period. They're just not. I was telling you off mic about that detective I'd met, and he said, when he's got a feeling about a murder, that homicide detective, like 9 out of 10 times, he's usually pretty right. And all he does is find the pieces. Oh shit! Well, there's the text. Oh wow! What a coincidence that the life insurance got changed last week. And the one time that he's wrong, he's wrong. People cannot hide who they are. And like AOC, and she's a good example. Let's throw her on the spit some more. When she was running, she was talking all kinds of mad shit because she was right. We were
excited.
Yeah, she was not wrong, right? She was not incorrect. Lasted about 3 weeks. Before inauguration, she walked in with the Sunrise Movement and pulled that stunt with Pelosi. Awesome. And then, they took her into the back room with some rubber hoses. Mama bear my ass. Yeah. Fucking bitch is a war criminal. So but it's, and they took her into the back room. All of a sudden, within 3 months, her and the fucking fraud squad are on Vanity Fair and Rolling Stone. posing with Pelosi, giving her credibility. And so they are going to, they're showing who they are.
And that's what I mean is not having the focus. Like if the intent was to get onto a committee, then you don't light your movement on fire by alienating them and lighting yourself on fire. And then go on the defensive, attacking the very people who are deciding what committees you're going to be on.
Right.
It was self-sabotage. Right. Like when you look at it from far away and you see all the moving parts and like, you were so focused on being on a committee. Why are you picking fights in public?
Right.
Why are you putting yourself in position to be on the defensive, attacking the speaker?
See, now if
attacking the minority leader in the Senate.
But here's what would have been really cool. If she had balls, no pun intended, if she had guts, if she had a spine, fuck being on a committee. Her number one thing would have been getting a floor vote on Medicare for all. Right. But then again, she wouldn't have voted for the Patriot Act or the renewal of the NDAA or, the last two Trump budgets that we've gotten, right, that she voted for. Deferring to leadership when it came to Venezuela or Bolivia. Suddenly not knowing where fucking Palestine was. She was talking mad shit on Palestine when she was running for office. All of a sudden now she's like, I'm deferring to leadership. Like, what? You weren't elected for – these people are not elected for that. And if you run for office again, which I want to talk about here in a little bit, and you know this, you're not their friend. You're an employee. You're a public servant to serve. If you do not do this, you're not a fucking rock star. You're not Obama. People want to get selfies with goddamn Beto O'Rourke. I see Beto stickers all over the place like he's the goddamn Rolling Stones. Dude, no, right? That's not what this is about. But we've done that in this country. And that's what happens when you have people, and I'm sure you get this too. You say something about Biden. They act like you're pissing on the carcass of a fucking unicorn and you punch their teddy bear, right? They get all pissy. Well, give him a chance. You're just mean. My favorite thing is you're so angry. I think you have anger issues. Remember last summer I was talking to a friend of mine at lunch and I knew Bernie was going to take a dive. I knew he was going to go belly up at the last gasp. I knew it. She's like, well, you're just angry about 16. Well, yeah, but I also believed him in 16, even though I knew better, thinking, well, he sounds like he's changed. He sounds like he's going to do something else. And he didn't. Comes out again, doesn't do it again. And how do I know? Because he had 30,000 people rallies again, reduced to 50 people in a gym when he was pimping Joe Biden, right? So why is it that it just seems like, this hasn't changed my entire life, man. People are just fucking stupid. It has not changed my entire life.
The reason I get angry is leading us into an endless war. We're already 20 years into the Afghanistan war.
Oh, that's just one of them. And that's just one of them.
That's just one of them that we know about.
Right.
And that's been going on for years. And then I read an article last night from The Intercept that says the exit strategy out of the Afghanistan war is for the CIA to train death squads to kill children in Afghanistan.
Wow, it sounds like El Salvador in the 80s. Good times.
So it's like, I don't understand. How is it okay that we are, as the government, funding $2 billion a day for these wars, but we can't fund people to stay home? We can't fund the stimulus checks or the survival checks for people to stay home and protected and not have to be forced out to go and, get a job, be exposed to COVID, or be pushed out and go through evictions.
Right.
And we can't afford Medicare for all. Right. We can't afford to defund the police. Right. We can't afford to demilitarize the police. Right. We can't afford to invest in our education. We can't afford to regulate the fossil fuel industry, which is one of the reasons why we're going to war over and over again.
Sure.
Like to me, there's plenty of money. There is no excuse. And if our congressional reps, if our state reps, if our county reps, if our city reps gave a damn about the people and ensuring that everyone is housed and no one goes hungry and utilities are on all the time and there's no threat of them being shut off, and ensures that our education is going to be equitable and it's going to be in a way that it's not the continuing indoctrination of this fucking system. If they wanted to do that, they would have.
Oh, sure.
They would have done it.
Right.
In Congress, in politics, I know that it's going to be a negotiation. I will give you this vote for that vote. Right. It's all it is just trading. It's like Wall Street.
Right.
It's like Wall Street. I will trade you this policy for
That's
that
right.
policy.
It's business.
That's what it is.
Well,
Like, I'd like to know, what was the trade-off for losing that position in the committee? What was the trade-off?
Well, her trade-off was that she thought if she played ball, she'd get the position, right?
And that's false. Like, you do not play ball with these people. These are not your friends. And they don't play by the rules.
No, they don't.
They don't play by the rules. So we have to change the rules. If you're a member in Congress, you're a member in the Senate, start changing the rules. Because if not, the entire system is going to be rigged and no progressive policies can get pushed through. Motivate the base, that, you know, your base voters, your support, answer their calls. You know, I've heard several times that when you call AOC's office, she won't take, like, your call won't be recorded, or they can't do anything unless you are her constituent. Now, how is it that you can take our money, you can take our volunteer time, you'll gladly accept all of that, but you won't answer our calls unless we're a voter?
Right. In her particular district.
Right.
Right. Well, and this thing too, I was going to ask you this question a little bit ago, and then we got a little sidetracked. But I don't, and because you're talking about not seeing anyone in the streets, I don't know if you caught last month in India, where they had a general strike. You didn't see it on the mass media. You didn't see it in the
largest strike
in world history. It was like, and I did the math. It was 16% of India, right? 16%. If we had 16% in this country, it would be roughly about 40 million people. 50 million people.
If we had 9%.
Yeah.
It would make a difference.
It would grind things to a halt. And to your point a second ago, when you're talking about we have the money, this is the thing that drives me crazy about, you know, what our priorities are. I did the math a little bit ago. If we paid every working American, if you're out of work, you're out of work. But if we paid every American adult over 18, $2,000 a month, it's roughly about $2 trillion for a year. That's 2 days of bank bailouts.
Yep.
That's 2 days of bank bailouts in the pandemic. So we got money for that, right? But we don't have money for all the programs that you just ticked off, right? And this is so this is the thing. So I mean, I want to kind of get into what you're looking to do, because I told you this before, after the Beto thing, and you know, God bless your heart, you went and did it anyway, and you ran for Senate against a bunch of fuckers. It's my considered opinion, right? And I've considered it. I think you should run for Congress down where you're at, because you're a fucking rock star down there, and you are telling the truth. You know, I don't know what you're going to do in the future, but for right now, last couple of years that I've known you, in fact, I think I was one of the first people that interviewed you. You know, you could win Congress down there and make a big noise instead of getting and I swear to God, they're not going to do 11 people in your district, you know, because it's a district. Are they going to get the dog catcher to come out and like, yeah, for Medicare for all? Like, what the fuck are they going to do? It's like, it's a district. It's not the state of Texas, you know, where they're digging up every fucking, and how many of those guys, half those guys were clowns and has-beens. Like, your time passed, bro. It was like the Democratic primary with the presidents, like 23 people, and half of them were fucking like, what? You know, like Bloomberg.
Oh, dear God.
You know, the check cleared, right? Motherfucker was a Republican 6 years ago, right? And stop and frisk and shattered windows policy, all this bullshit. And yet with a straight face, well, you know, he might win. I saw Bloomberg sign in my neighborhood when he was running. I'm like, are you fucking high? And he spent all that money and he got Guam. You know, you should have ran his fucking campaign. You probably would have paid less per vote in Guam, you know, or wherever the fuck he took. I mean, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with these people? That's my opinion. I think you should run for the House, for a House seat. It's going to come up. Nina Turner just announced. I hope she doesn't run as a Democrat. And I'm going to tell you straight up, don't fucking run as a Democrat. Run as a People's Party. Run something else. Run as an independent. Do not run as a fucking Democrat. They will eat you alive. They will change you. They will change you. They are like science fiction. They are like the invasion of the body snatchers, these people. They insert pods into your ears and they take your brain. And then it goes further down into your guts. So you got no brain and no guts. That's why AOC became AOC, because she was actually, I thought, a credible person. I liked her in the beginning. And the last 2 years, I'm like, wow, what a spectacular flame out of a failure of a human being she is. You know, and fucking Ilhan Omar, all those guys. Ro Khanna, all those guys. It's like, at least Ro Khanna will go on Jimmy Dore's show and get his ass kicked for half an hour. And then go, listen, I got a good life. You know, if I can't handle getting criticized, then I'm in the wrong business. At least he's honest.
Well, no, actually, he's one of the very few people that I would talk to about policy, about politics. And he's said to me, if you have anything you want to introduce, Emma, let me know. And I'm like, that's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
Why don't you just, keep introducing the bills that are there now, and hopefully they'll pass.
There's quite a few. Yeah.
And how do I say this? Redoing that work when it's already there doesn't make sense.
Right.
But as far as running for office, I don't have any plans on running for office.
Okay.
Anytime soon. What I want to see is there be an infrastructure set in place that will help other candidates run for office.
Mm-hmm.
And they won't need to rely on organizations like Justice Democrats or the DNC to help fundraise for them or phone bank for them, things
or
like
even
that.
the DSA has been a spectacular flame out as well.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to rely on these other structures to do this.
Right.
But building an infrastructure that doesn't change the candidates, doesn't change their policies that are already there, that they already believe in. Like, I don't want that. But I also don't want someone saying, well, we're going to support you only if you say this,
sure.
Or if you don't say that. And, that kind of just pigeonholes the candidate and pigeonholes the campaign into only doing one thing. Right. This district, the 29th district in Texas, there's already somebody here who has the support. I may not like her all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly do respect a lot of the things that she's doing.
Okay. Well,
she doesn't support Medicare for all.
Okay.
She doesn't support the Green New Deal.
Okay.
She doesn't support holding the fossil fuel industry accountable. She is actually in favor of dredging up the Houston Ship Channel, making it wider. And why is she making it wider? Why is she supporting that? Well, because we have a lot of pipeline, the XL pipe, the Dakota Access Pipeline, Keystone Pipeline is coming through here, and they're expanding, and they want to expand the port so we can continue exporting oil. Like, those are the things that
She sounds fucking awful. She sounds fucking awful. What do you mean?
Well,
you don't like what's the other half of her thing? She drowns puppies? I mean, what the fuck does she do? It makes you like her. She sounds fucking awful.
Well, she's right on the issues when it comes to DACA and immigration, right? But that's kind of like 20%.
I could throw a rock.
I
could throw a rock in your district. I could find 90 fucking people that support DACA and immigration and support what you believe in.
No, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
So she's not perfect, but she also does have an infrastructure around her that will crush someone like me running against her in the primary.
Yeah, Yeah, you know what? Not if you get on Lee Camp's show and shit like this goes viral. Okay, because she's going to get on all these little rabble tongue bath shows she don't give a fuck about, right? Playing tea sets, tea party or whatever. Not the tea party Republicans, but I mean like a little tea party with white gloves.
Yeah, and what happens if I run as a third-party candidate? I'm going to be challenged, much like the other Green Party candidates were challenged and pushed off the ballot, spending more time in the courtroom and spending time on the campaign trail campaigning for these issues.
Sure. Well, I mean,
that is something I've thought about.
Two things. Well, and I appreciate that, but two things. Number one, you cannot ever run as a Democrat ever again in the history of ever again. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. These motherfuckers are dead. They are walking corpses. They really are. They're like, what did Jesus say in the New Testament? I don't have a dog in this fight for like 30 odd years now, but when I used to read the Bible, there's this great deal when he was talking about phonies. And he goes, he used to call them painted white sepulchers. You know what a sepulcher is?
No, I don't, but tell me.
It's an old ancient Hebrew word or Greek word for grave, right? But they're just painted white. But inside they're rotting and worms, right? And Jesus was kind of a socialist prick. I mean, he gets this little, the whitewash Christmas time shit every year, but he got killed for a reason. If the story is true, he got killed for a fucking reason. He was bad for business. Okay, so the Jewish mafia went to the Italian mafia and said, hey, listen, this guy's raising people from the dead. He's doing catering with no license. He's fucking up with our business. He's flipping tables in the temple. We do business there. This guy's no good for business. You got to take care of it. And they went to Pontius Pilate. Pontius Pilate said, hey, I'll just let the people decide. And they chose the cop killer over him. The famous Give Us Barabbas speech, took him on the porch and said, hey, this guy did a lot of cool shit, but I got this cop killer. Who do you want? Give us Barabbas, because we're a bunch of assholes. Good times. So even if the story is true, or not,
weird story.
Yeah, well, I didn't write it. It's just in the Bible. So, like, even if the story isn't true, it's irrelevant because it's human nature. It's human nature. Those stories are human nature. I don't give a shit if the King David story is true or not. What he did it's human nature. He fucked up huge. It's human nature to do that. Our vanity is a bitch. And the Democratic Party is just one big, just clusterfuck of assholes. And here's the thing, at least with the GOP, they are fucking you to your face. Like John Cornyn's telling you exactly what he's not going to do for you. He's not even ashamed about it. Like he's cool. Like he's fine. Oh, you don't have any American.
That's just who he is. Yeah.
Right. But then the other guys, they hang a fucking rainbow flag on the Raytheon building, and that's supposed to be called progress. All the defense contractors, all their CEOs are women. All of them. Yay.
Diversity, inclusion, our women bomb people too.
Sisters doing it for themselves. Yay. Because I'm sure the ladies in Syria and Libya and everywhere else are really happy that women are building their bombs.
Bombing them.
Yeah. Good times, right? This is what you can't ever run in that fucking decrepit ass party again. And supporting an asshole like this, I don't even know her fucking name. I could look it up right now and call her out, but I don't care. She's a Democrat.
Well, I'm not running against her.
I know
I'm
you're
just
not.
Pointing out the things that I have problems with.
Oh, problems. Okay.
I have problems with. I have issues with. Why? Because I live in this district. I live less than a mile from the nearest petrochemical refinery and storage containers.
Okay,
so
what's the difference between her? What's the difference between her and the Republicans?
Nothing.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. No, there's nothing.
DACA, and that's it, right?
DACA, and that's it. But hey, even John Cornyn says that he would support DACA. So there's that.
Right.
There's that. And here's the thing. It's, again, identity politics.
Right.
Are you loyal to a political figure? Are you loyal to the movement? And for a lot of people here in this district, is they are, they want to see a Latina in office.
Sure.
And she is the Latina in office who has made so many accomplishments, and she has the labor unions behind her. She has a lot of the Latino vote behind her. But, representation only goes so far.
Sure.
Like it's, for me, it's more than what you look like or what language you speak. It is about policy. It is about substance.
Sure.
And that is missing in politics all the time. It's missing here too. Sure. It's the same thing. So no, I am not running for Congress. I don't see myself running for Congress anytime soon.
Sure.
I want to be able to build the infrastructure for candidates. If I choose to run one day, I'm hoping that infrastructure will be in place for me as well.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Building that coalition and, working within the system, it sucks. It really does. But we've got to work within the system while we tear it down and build another system for third party candidates.
Well, we need more. We need to. Well, I want to see the Democratic Party eat itself.
It already eats itself.
No, I want to see them destroyed. I want to see them utterly, fundamentally fucking destroyed. I want to see them get wiped out in the midterms. I want to see Kamala Harris lose re-election 2024. So I have an excuse because by that time I'll be 61. I'll be almost a little old man. So it'll be really cute when I punch the shit out of people who say things to me like, well, after we have another right-wing Trump who's actually smarter, okay? We're not going to have Donald Trump the next right-wing guy we get. We're not going to get this dipshit who just blathers on Twitter and, fucks up the CIA plans all the time. So we're not going to get that guy. We're going to get a smooth, cagey, evil spy guy. We're going to get like a Mike Pence.
Kasich?
Who?
Is it John Kasich?
John Kasich's a klutz. He's a fucking idiot. He's a klutz.
He's a Democrat now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that's another thing too. Like no one noticed that these parties are so interchangeable. You can just go back and forth based on whether or not you like somebody.
Yeah.
Like Mitt Romney's like, well, Donald Trump doesn't really represent Republican policies. What would those be? Withholding food and healthcare and education from people in this country? I mean, that's what your policies are. I mean, Trump's all about that shit. You just didn't like him because he didn't tweet nice. That's it. He didn't do anything different than Obama. In fact, he did things not as Obama kicked 850,000 families off of welfare. Trump kicked 700,000 families off of welfare. Right?
He wants to do more. He wants to do more.
Yeah. Right. And then, Arctic drilling twice. I mean, Obama, it was Trump, but he was just cooler. So the empire dug him. Right.
Well, again, that's the thing about identity politics.
Right.
Is we're going to be comfortable with the oppression because it's someone who looks like us that's oppressing us. And if we dare criticize, then we're racist. Or we're
I went through a couple of girlfriends during the Obama years, and one girl and I had an argument over Libya, and I tweeted her I DM'd her on Twitter about a year ago when it was, or 2 years ago when it was exposed that we have slavery in Libya now. And I'm like, hey, so how'd that Libya thing go? Good times. We have slaves again. Brought back by a black president. If that's not irony, I don't know what is.
That's a sad part about it all. These politics is like, we are idolizing the people who are oppressing us, and we shouldn't be. Which brings me back to your point about, having these candidates, these elected officials, these politicians treated as rock stars. They're not supposed to be rock stars. They're supposed to be public servants.
That's right.
And we should not be proud about the fact that the person who won the nomination in Texas went to court to fight for the right for women to fly planes and drop bombs on Black and brown children in different countries that we're waging wars on. Like, that is something that nobody wanted to talk about.
Oh, I know.
Nobody wanted to talk about. That's imperial feminism right there.
Well, that's when you said it. You said, by the way, I got in so much fucking trouble for stealing your comment. About a year ago, you came on the show and you said that was weaponizing feminism.
It is.
And boy, have I caught a world of shit in certain circles, man. I tell you, like, you're just being incendiary on purpose. That's a violent remark. I'm like, well, it's funny because a woman told me that one. So
a brown woman.
Yeah.
A Latina woman.
A Latina woman's the one who told me that. So neener, and they get like, well, then she's wrong. Really, she's wrong because you all ain't weaponizing feminism. You are weaponizing feminism. Yeah. When I heard AMJ Hagar go on that one show I was telling you about earlier, and I listened about 25 minutes, and when I shut it off was when she started talking about her little war stories. And they just breathlessly were like, oh my God, that just sounds incredible. How did you just survive? Like, dude, why didn't you ask her what the fuck she's doing blowing up Black and brown people, dropping bombs on mothers with kids? They didn't ask her that.
No, and they're not going to, because again, it is the feminism being, the feminist women being weaponized to literally drop bombs on other countries and calling it equality.
Right.
Like the war economy is calling this equality.
Right.
Because women can do it too.
Yeah, we live in a sick society, man.
And these women pride themselves in being, I'm the first, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, well, you're the first and you're certainly not the last, but you can't call this progress. No, this isn't progress. And you're upholding the patriarchy.
Yeah, my comeback to that as well. Jews worked for Hitler too.
Ay, Dios mío.
True story. There's a lot of Jews that work for
Hitler. We
Hitler.
have the Tío Tomás and the Uncle Toms, and we have.
Oh, every race, every group's got one. Every group's got one. I just watched the UAE and Bahrain and Morocco, and the Sudan write these dead letter office fucking treaties with fucking Israel, right? The treaties that we're eventually going to wipe our ass with and put a bayonet up their ass like we did with Gaddafi. Okay, that guy gave up his weapons and his nukes in 2003. 8 years later, he's being hung in the street like a piñata, beaten to death, and put a bayonet in his ass. A bayonet in his ass. That's how he died. Literally, not figuratively. They literally did that to him. That's when Hillary Clinton was like, we saw he died. Because she's a fucking psychotic too, right? That is
definitely psychopath.
We have a sick society, man. We got a couple minutes left here, but honest to God, we have a sick society. The United States. James Baldwin said that the challenge of the United States is it has not reconciled its ideals with its sins. Right?
Valid.
So you've got, Martin Luther King holding up the Constitution saying this is a receipt. And I still have not got services rendered for this receipt. And we're in this country now. We're Brazil in 5 years. We are Brazil in 5 years. Meaning we're going to be the richest country. Brazil's not poor. No. They got resources up the ass. Venezuela. Yeah, neither is Venezuela. They got resources up the ass. But the difference between Brazil and the difference between Venezuela is we got nearly 200 sanctions on Venezuela and we steal their shit, even without invading them. Brazil, we let them sell on the open market, but they still got austerity up the ass. They got favelas. My mom's from Brazil. I mean, I could tell you, it's not good. And Bolsonaro is just basically another. He's another Obama too. Obama wasn't. What the fuck did Obama do for people?
I have yet to see anyone right now pushing for policies or legislation that reconcile their sins, like the sins of this country to Black people, to Indigenous people, to Latinx people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have yet to see anyone push that. And I'm tired of the tokenization. I'm tired of people continuously trying to use Black women, Latina women for clout, for political reasons, and then toss them off to the side when they're no longer useful.
That's right.
No, this is exploitation over and over and over and over again. And there's so many, I can't even count the ways that people are exploited in this country for political advancement, for nefarious reasons. I'm tired of it.
I'm tired, dude. I'm sick and tired of it. I mean, me and my brothers, most of my cousins were first generation here in this country. So, we grew up with parents who spoke different, blah, blah, blah. And we saw the difference between them getting treated, how they got treated compared to how we got treated. Especially us. We pass for white. We look white. Freckles, green eyes. We look white.
Yeah, I do not.
Yeah. And so it's almost like you're in disguise. People say shit in front of you. They would not say if you look the part. Yep. Right. If I was just a little darker, right. If I look, like some of my cousins on my mom's side or some of my cousins on my dad's side, if I look like them, I would hear different shit than I hear looking like this. Yeah. And then they're surprised at your reaction when you bring up our war crimes, for example. Well, I didn't mean, no. You did mean it. You meant it. You just thought I was cool with it. That's because you're a piece of shit. And we are a nation of toddlers.
And COVID has exposed the underbelly of this country if people 100%. Had not seen it before.
100%.
COVID has exposed it. We see 100%. The racism. We see the austerity. We see the capitalist, pulling strings back and forth. Denying the stimulus check, the survival checks that we need within the same week as funding $740 billion to the NDAA.
Oh, yeah.
Like, where did you get the money? Where's that money? Like, when are we going to understand that we are a fiat country? Like, our money, we print our own money. We can fund anything that we want. And there are countries that have no money and they have universal health care.
Fucking Russia. Money. Goddamn Syria does. Rwanda does. And I've been to Cuba. They got nice hospitals there. I stuck my head in. They wouldn't let me take pictures because I wanted to get some pictures from my brother. He's an MD. They got nice hospitals in Cuba. We did 5 cities in 10 days. Went to a few of the hospitals, checked it out. They got healthcare. And they got free education. And I swear to Christ, man, everyone I met that went to the University of Havana spoke perfect English. Perfect English.
And they have sanctions.
And they got,
courtesy of America.
Yeah. And because we're a bunch of dicks. And what I can't wait for, and I know it's going to, we're going to suffer for it, but when we become not the world's currency anymore, it's going to be a good day. And about 6 years ago, we almost got voted out. We were barely in by 2 countries that voted us in. I think it was Israel and some other country. And I swear to God, we lose reserve currency status, we're done. We can't be in 149 countries. We can't support 75% of the world's dictators. We're going to be like Britain in 1956. They went in to fight Egypt, got their asses kicked, and they were already on the ropes. The United States said, pull the fuck out because the Suez Canal thing is not good. And the debacle just bankrupted the fucking country. The pound sterling was no longer the reserve currency. We took over. And that's why we can afford to do all this shit. When you got Russia having traded in all of their debt in the last 2 years, all 100% of the US T-bills. China's traded in 30% of their US T-bills. You see other countries start to follow suit, and then we're going to be flooded with dollars and be practically worthless. That's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. You think Biden's going to do anything different? He's going to fuck South America. You watch. He's going to from South America to Vietnam, and countries that do trade with us are not going to trade with us anymore. Chile, Argentina. I can go on and on and on and on and on. And he's going to fuck Europe too.
This country compared to other countries is younger. This is the great American experiment, right? The great financial experiment in the US. And the fact that we are not seeing all these other countries and how their systems work is by design. Like, they do not want to expose the mass population here to the stuff that's going on in other countries, because it's like, well, we have all this money. Why can't we do it? Cuba can have great hospitals, great healthcare. They have, vaccines and different types of cures that they've developed in their labs in a third world communist country. And they're poor, like considerably, with the United States compared to the United States, they're considerably poor.
And Cuba has no homeless people.
No homeless people.
Not one fucking homeless guy. I'm not kidding. And people that are like they're in a state hospital somewhere, right? I met Cubans that were, pretty entrepreneurial. They kind of got around the system, right? They're doing a little bed and breakfast, Airbnb kind of shit. People drive their own car like an Uber before Uber, right? And so they're making extra money. But the people that just live on the UBI, which isn't a whole lot, but still keeps them off the street, their houses aren't as nice, but they're not on the street.
And that's
right?
the point.
And that's things
the
like
great American experiment is how much can we tolerate? How much are we willing to tolerate?
Well, apparently, like you said earlier, you haven't seen anyone on the street. So I don't know. I mean, Black Lives Matter in the protests this summer, I thought we're going to morph into something else, and they kind of didn't. It kind of didn't. I was waiting for it to morph into this election year, and and they had a Zoom convention. I was waiting for the Zoom convention to be Chicago 1968. If it was going to be an in-person convention, I was hoping for it to be some serious shit. But it didn't. But listen, kind of, went a little longer than I promised you. So, but as always, you're a gracious guest. I'm glad you came on. Let me know if you want to come on again and talk about whatever.
Definitely. I want to, do a crossover episode.
Okay. And now I was kind of dancing around that. So you are comfortable talking about it. So let's talk about your podcast real fast. Okay. So
we have a podcast coming up. It's called Get Political, and it's the what do you call it? Bridging the gap between our generations and different social movements across, time and space, and what we can learn from one another, from the boomer generation to the Gen X to the millennial and the Gen Z, the Zoomers, and talking about the intersectionality of politics and what that means to, people as individuals, bringing those big topic federal issues, federal policies, and what that means to you as an individual, how that impacts you. There's so many people that we've talked to across the state whenever we campaigned, and a lot of people did not want to get political. And I said, politics has no problem getting political with you, or invading your pocketbook, or deciding how your healthcare should be delivered, or what kind of education your child is going to get or deserves to get.
That's right.
We have no problem getting political with you. So, let's get political about these issues and how this impacts your life.
Right. Well, awesome, man. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to it. And, if you got a link yet, let me know. Otherwise I will promote it in another show. Another show. But, folks, my guest has been Sema Hernandez. And, again, two-time, Senate candidate here in Texas, and, very, vociferous about the right things. That's why I like her. She's good people. Again, you could support the show on thebittertruth.info. We are also at patreon.com/thebittertruth, and all the stuff will be in the body of the show. And as always, guys, if this stuff makes you uncomfortable, it's supposed to. Sleep tight.